I'm here today to talk to you about BounceBack, which is a new product, new to Mannatech's portfolio, but it's also very new to Australia. The product's been doing extremely well in North American sales. We launched it in US and Canada first. It's labeled as a dietary supplement in the United States, and it's actually labeled as an osteoarthritis drug in Canada. So, TGA and Health Canada have similar rules for allowing claims on products. We just completed an extensive clinical study on it, and so I'll share the data of the clinical study with you, and you'll see that not only is it a great product in theory, but the clinical data shows that this is performing as well as any other product that we've ever produced. It's not so much a matter of going out and finding new technologies, because there's a lot of new health technologies that are coming up every single day, every single month. We monitor dozens of scientific journals all the time. I have a research team. We've got 23 people on our research and development staff, full-time staff, that monitor health sciences. But really, one of the things that Mannatech wants to focus on is making sure that our innovation is focused. So the products that we produce have to fit in well with the other product portfolios, and they have to fit in with real consumer need. So before we even consider developing a new product, we have to consider that it at least meets the criteria of these three questions. First of all, does the product address a real and significant customer need? Okay, this is a downfall of a lot of research and development organizations, is that they get real excited about a new technology for the sake of the new technology. But what they don't recognize is that even though it's a gee-whiz technology, there's not really a real consumer demand for it. So rather than fall into that trap, we always make sure that our products actually meet a consumer need. BounceBack is a good example of a product that meets a very real consumer need. Is the technology sound? We get a lot of people coming to us all the time. As the head of R&D, I get people approaching me all the time saying, hey, I've got this great new product. I've got this great new innovation that would be just perfect for Mannatech. Okay, and you take a look at it, and usually, it's a great story, but there's not a lot of science behind it. In that case, it gets wiped off the slate because we're only interested in technology that's really strong. And then the third thing is, will the product create real value for our consumers? And the reason we have to consider that is because Mannatech operates because we're in a direct marketing business. It operates on a different profit margin system than retail business. And so our products tend to be fairly expensive, but that's okay. If you're delivering great technology, people don't mind paying a little extra as long as they're getting the best technology. But you've got to keep an eye on, is it delivering the real value? If you're delivering a $40 product, is the customer getting at least $40 worth of value or more from the product? And you really have to look at that. For anybody who hasn't been to our Capel facility in Texas, this is a portion of our research and development laboratory. We do quite a bit of research at Capel. One of the things that we're really good at Capel is we're doing what's called assay-guided development. So when we're developing a new product and we're using natural products or natural ingredients, what we do is we're able to basically use this analytical chemistry and find the ingredients that have the most of the active compound. For example, in the BounceBack, has anybody noticed the color of the BounceBack capsules? How they're a bright orange? That bright orange is due to one of the active ingredients that's in there from turmeric. And so what we would do is, when we were sourcing turmeric sources, we brought hundreds of sources in, did chromatography on them, and found the ones that had the best profile of active ingredients. So that's one thing that we do really well. This is another portion of our laboratory that we just put in within the last 2 years. We're constantly building this, but it's called an internal prototyping laboratory. And what this allows us to do is to quickly do what are called iterations of a formula. For example, BounceBack, when we were first conceiving of it about 2 years ago, we wanted to do a couple quick formulations of it and find out, what are the subtle differences. Well, that used to take us months. Mannatech, when we worked with outside manufacturers, it would take us literally 2 months to do one iteration of the formula. So what we did was we invested in putting in a prototyping laboratory, and this is actually a small manufacturing capability, so we can actually make capsules, powders, liquids, cosmetic formulations, drinks. We can make anything that we want in here, and we can actually test it with consumers and do clinical studies on it. This is one of the teams, one of my product development teams. Like I said, we've got 23 people, full-time people in the R&D staff. We've got formulations chemists, analytical chemists, biochemists. We've got 2 MDs on staff, and we've got currently 3 PhDs on staff. What we do is everybody kind of contributes to the development of the different formulations, and we have 2 dedicated product teams. We have a research team, and then we have a health sciences team. So everybody's got an area of specialty, but we also collaborate on developing a lot of these products. As an example of some of the things that come out of our research and development laboratory, BounceBack's a perfect example. BounceBack has been in development now for over 2 years. Start out with a concept that we wanted to develop a state-of-the-art, a world-class anti-inflammatory type of compound. And we wanted it for the general audience, for not only for athletes or elderly people, but basically something that people could use proactively every day to address inflammatory issues. If you've been reading any sort of health literature, it's even crossed over into the mainstream media. You know, I've seen it on Fox News, I've seen it on ABC News in the United States, I've seen it on Reuters. But basically, this whole area of inflammation, it's turning out as a key driver of a lot of the degenerative things that happen to people during middle age. Okay, so things ranging all the way from, you know, cardiovascular issues to joint issues to neurological issues. A lot of them all share inflammation as a common target. So we developed this as a state-of-the-art anti-inflammatory compound. Now the compound that we've got is currently labeled a certain way, but it's got a much broader range of use in people, and you'll see that in just a second. Who can benefit from BounceBack capsules? Well, it's not a sports product, okay? It's not just strictly for athletes, elite athletes. So, you know, somebody like a Michael Phelps, you know, would definitely benefit from the product. You know, it would allow them to train harder. It's also for anybody with an active lifestyle. So people that want to maintain an active lifestyle that are going into middle age or, you know, thinking about middle age and basically want to help themselves out. People with mild knee or joint pain or stiffness, this is a labeled indication of the product. If you've got minor physical injuries, you know, after gardening or, you know, weight training or, you know, playing football on the weekend or something, this is a great product for that. And it's basically a proactive approach. So unlike other sports type products or like anti-inflammatory drugs, this is not meant for, okay, you hurt yourself and then you take this product to recover. This is meant as a proactive approach. As a personal example, I use this every single day. I take it first thing in the morning. I usually bicycle to the gym, you know, put in 90-minute training and then bicycle home from the gym. And, you know, I'm 43 now, and I used to be very active when I was in college. I used to be a wrestler, and that was my main sport, was wrestling. And also weight training, and I used to be extremely strong. For my size, I was one of the strongest people on the team. And this is something that is just almost unbelievable, but now at 43, I can actually lift more than I did when I was 20 years old. Okay, and I can train harder than I did when I was 20 years old. And I attribute a lot of that to BounceBack. You know, I've been using it ever since it's in prototype. And it's allowed me to be able to train every single day, get up every morning, train, not have to take days off in between and recover. Okay, here's some of the official claims for BounceBack in Australia. Is may help reduce the bruising, swelling, and inflammation associated with physical activity or physical injuries, and then provides temporary relief from pain and stiffness. Okay, and this speaks mainly to the muscular and skeletal issues that people face. Okay, but like I said, there's a much broader implications to this product. Okay, inflammation ties into pretty much everything that occurs in the human, in your life. And so if you read between the lines on this study, there's actually much broader implications for using this product every day. Now the technology. What is the technology that's behind BounceBack? Well, BounceBack actually represents 4 synergistic technologies. So inflammation doesn't happen by just one pathway. There's a lot of pathways that contribute to inflammation. And basically, if you don't address all of the different pathways, what's going to happen is, you know, for example, if you address 3 of the inflammatory pathways but you leave one unattended, what's going to happen is you're going to get a flare-up in that particular pathway. So really, if you want the best anti-inflammatory product, you have to attack it from all angles and leave no path for it to go down. And so that's why we chose these 4 different technologies. It uses a proprietary proteolytic enzyme. Try saying that 3 times fast. I'll tell you what that is in just a minute. Natural phytosterols, which is something that Mannatech's had a lot of years of experience with, is phytosterol technology, so we know this one very well. Curcuminoids, which is just a really hot technology. It's ancient. It comes from Ayurvedic medicine. But the newer versions of curcuminoids from turmeric are just really outstanding in what they can do. And then also resveratrol. And has anybody ever heard about the French wine paradox? Okay, the French paradox is, sociologists have studied people in southern France, and they wonder how the people in southern France can eat such a high-fat diet. They eat things like foie gras and butter, tons of butter, just really high fatty foods, but they have a very low incidence of heart disease. Well, why is that? Well, they also drink a lot of red wine. And they're finding out that one of the active compounds from red wine that protects your heart, your cardiovascular system, is this compound called resveratrol. And it's also a great anti-aging compound. There's a lot of studies showing that it really inhibits aging. And it's also a really powerful antioxidant compound. And so we included it in here as a synergist on here. But you'll see that there's some additional beneficial side effects that you get from putting resveratrol in the formulation. As a biochemist, I'm obliged to put one of these pictures up here. But it doesn't necessarily pertain to what we're talking about. It's just a conversation starter. Basically, proteolytic enzymes are enzymes that digest protein, okay? And there are certain enzymes in your digestive tract, like pepsin, renin, types of enzymes that break down food within your digestive tract. These are different. These are obtained from microbial, from fungal sources, and they're also obtained from pineapple, bromelain from pineapple. And what these enzymes do is when you ingest them, they're absorbed into your bloodstream intact. So they don't actually break down, they're absorbed intact into your bloodstream. And these enzymes will actually cleave protein molecules within your blood system. And there are things like pain molecules that will be cleaved, clotting type of molecules. They actually use these as clot buster type of drugs for people with cardiovascular issues. And so these were designed mainly to chew up the inflammatory messengers that are within your bloodstream. And they're very effective for doing that. We included proven enzymes such as serrapeptidase and bromelain. And so they're included at a quantity that's clinically effective. Then we also chose these curcuminoid compounds, which, again, they come from turmeric. Does anybody know turmeric? Yeah, turmeric's a spice that's widely used in like Indian cuisine. Curry, the colors of curry, the yellow curries, are from turmeric. And that's also the reason why our BounceBack capsule is, bright orange, is because of these curcuminoids in there. The extract of turmeric that we use is standardized to have 95% of these curcuminoids. So in other words, it's highly concentrated, and it's very expensive. Okay, it's very, very expensive. But the reason we chose this is because this works the best. Okay, if you want really good bioavailability and effects in your body, you want to use the more expensive ingredient. And what it does is it inhibits 2 of the major pathways of inflammation, the prostaglandin and leukotriene. So it acts a lot like non-steroidal, anti-inflammatory type of compounds, but it's a very natural way of doing that. So this is the 3rd ingredient. And then finally, resveratrol. And like I was telling you, the red wine paradox, this is one of the active compounds from red wine. There's a lot of people that want the benefits of the red wine because it's good for cardiovascular protection, good for muscle protection, things like that. Anyway, the 1 dose of BounceBack, which is 2 capsules, is equivalent to about half a liter of good red wine. And that's just one of the ingredients that's in there. So it's actually a very potent source of this compound called resveratrol. And if you're interested, you should Google it and take a look because the literature on this resveratrol is amazing. The anti-aging properties, they're developing synthetic versions of resveratrol now as pharmaceuticals. And there's some really elite scientists that are working on this out of Harvard University and such, that they feel very strongly that this is going to be the key to basically arresting aging process, in people and giving us these multi-hundred-year lifespans. So anyway, this is a really hot area of research, and we've got it in our product. And then finally, the phytosterol blend that we've got in here is from Mexican wild yam. and it's traditionally used in American folk medicine. There's a lot of scientific literature that goes beyond the folk medicine, and it's universally accepted for muscular cramps and spasms. Okay, and so this was put in there to address the muscular issues of inflammation. So this is the fourth ingredient that we've got in BounceBack. These are the official product claims. May help reduce bruising, swelling, inflammation from minor injuries. May help relieve swelling after an injury or operation. That's pretty strong. Provide temporary relief from mild knee pain and stiffness. So how do you take this every day? Well, it's a proactive approach. You take it every single day. You don't want to skip a day, okay? If you skip a day, it's not going to kill you or anything, but it's one of those things that you want to get people in the habit of taking it every single day, because it's not meant to treat something when it flares up. It's meant to be a preventative for inflammation. You take 2 capsules a day with 8 ounces of water with a full glass of water. On an empty stomach. Now that's the key, okay, is you definitely want to guide people to take it probably first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And the reason you want it on an empty stomach is because the proteolytic enzymes that are in there will bind to protein in food. So if you happen to have a glass of milk or, breakfast that has breakfast meat or eggs or something like that, and then you take your BounceBack, it's not that the product won't work. It probably still will, but you won't get the best effectiveness from it because the protein enzymes will bind with the protein. So anyway, so this is how we guide people to use it. Like I said, when I personally guide people, I tell them just to take 2 of the capsules of BounceBack, put it on your wash basin, and then as soon as you get up in the morning to wash your face or brush your teeth, you take first, before you do anything, just take the 2 BounceBack, have a glass of water. By the time you're done doing your morning ritual and you're ready to have breakfast, the BounceBack's already in and it's working. Okay, so it's really easy if you approach it that way. What I'm going to present to you is the results of a clinical study that was just completed back in June of this year. And it was done by a Dr. Jay Udani, who heads up a company called Medicus Research. And he's also on staff at the University of California, Los Angeles, the Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. And this data was actually presented at the 5th Annual International Sports Sciences and Nutrition Conference, which was held in Las Vegas back in June 8 through 10. Jay Udani was just recently named the Physician of the Year of the nutrition industry. Okay, and it's like his 3rd major award, but he just received it for the entire nutrition industry just a couple weeks back. So this guy is very highly sought after for his clinical expertise of nutritional supplements. So we were very eager to work with him. He presented this paper at the conference, and he said that there was nothing else like it at the Sports Nutrition Conference. There was a lot of energy drinks, hydration drinks, but there was nothing that dealt with inflammation. And so we've talked with a lot of clinicians since then, and they're very interested in this, the data that was produced. The study was called The Effects of BounceBack on the Signs and Symptoms of Delayed Onset Muscle Soreness After Exercise. So in other words, what they did, they put people on BounceBack or placebo for 33 days. They put them under an intensive exercise regime, which was meant to basically damage their muscles. And then they measured their pain threshold afterwards, and they measured their blood markers afterwards. So they were looking at inflammation in the muscles 2 different ways. And this was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover human study. So this is the gold standard of the pharmaceutical industry, is it not? Yeah. So basically, you had 2 arms of the study: a placebo and the BounceBack individuals. Neither the physician nor the patients knew what they were taking. They took it for 33 days, did the exercise, blood markers, and then they crossed over. If they were on placebo, they were then taking BounceBack, and if they were on BounceBack, they went to placebo, and then they ran the experiment again. So it's actually a crossover study. Okay, this was done in subjects aged 18 to 45. So, it was actually a pretty young audience. It wasn't people, that had a lot of inflammatory issues. So when you see these dramatic results, you're gonna understand how much of a benefit it's gonna have on, on all kinds of people. And then this is how you do pain assessments, right? I was wondering how you do pain assessments. And this is a universal pain scale that they used, basically, after the exercise, they brought people in immediately afterwards and like squeezed their muscles, and see how much pain they're in, and then they used this universal pain scale, and then they did it 72 hours afterwards and, at time points after the exercise. Okay, here's some of the data immediately post-exercise. You could see that in this particular case, the lower value is better because it means less pain. So you can see that the people that were on BounceBack even prior to exercise, okay, before you even induce the exercise, they measured their pain in the past week before exercise, and you can see that they had significantly less than about a third of the pain level of somebody that was on placebo. And then immediately after exercise, the pain was significantly less than half of what it was in the placebo group. And like I said, this was repeated twice because you had the crossover phase of it, so it wasn't a placebo effect. And then 6 hours after exercise, the protection that BounceBack gives you continued, but usually 6 hours after exercise is not when it hurts. When does it hurt? It hurts like the next day. When you put in a big workout, you might be fine a little while after, but it's generally the next day, 48 hours. And here we see that the pain values of the people on BounceBack is less than half of the people that were using the placebo, and that held up over time. So the results of this particular clinical study show that BounceBack performs as well as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So this actually, as a natural way of dealing with inflammation, actually has a benefit that's on par with some of the best therapies that's out there. And this matched up really well. They looked at 2 markers of muscle damage, again, to confirm, because you don't want to just go with the visual analog scale. So they looked at one called myoglobin and one called CPK, creatine protein kinase. And both of these markers are released from your muscles when you exercise and they're damaged. Basically, when you put on a really strenuous exercise, what happens is your muscle fibers actually stretch and they tear. They get these microscopic tears in them, and this leaks the enzyme out into your blood. Okay, so you can actually measure this stuff leaking out of your muscles. And what you can see is that the BounceBack group, had much faster recovery after exercise than the placebo group. And that's basically, both of these markers are tracking almost identically to each other. And they're just totally different markers from each other. So this is independent confirmation that the BounceBack is actually helping with the muscle damage. Here's a great thing that J.U. Donnie had the foresight to include in the clinical study. We weren't actually anticipating this. But what they did was they put the people in the clinical study on these things. It's a biometric monitor that measures their total caloric output and then also their active energy output. So it can determine how many calories you're burning per hour, but also if you're doing exercise, it can tell how much your muscles are contracting, like how much energy is being put out by your muscles. And this is the most interesting finding, I think, all those blood markers is cool and the pain markers are really neat. But this is actually really where the most important thing is. What they found in this particular case, the higher number is better, because what it's showing is that the total energy expenditure, people that were on BounceBack were releasing significantly more energy, caloric output, than people that were on placebo, which means that it's having a positive effect on your muscle metabolism. And this is really dramatic here. Basically, the people on BounceBack were able to put out more than twice as much energy in their muscle contractions as people that were on placebo. So their muscles were able to work more than twice as hard as people that were on placebo. Now, can you imagine? Michael Phelps is probably tuned pretty well, so I don't know if it would have this dramatic effect. But if it did, can you imagine making somebody twice as strong just by simply taking 2 capsules a day? Well, that's what this is showing, is that basically you're doubling somebody's strength, their muscle output, with a simple product. Our potential customers, which would be people that are middle-aged or, very active people, isn't that what they're really after, is to be more active? Okay, they don't really care about myoglobin and CPK and, VAS pain scores. What they're concerned about is, can they keep up with their little nippers? okay, running around, you know, their grandkids, can they keep up with them without falling down tired, okay? Or can they do the gardening without ending up crippled on Tuesday, okay? And that's what this product is designed for, and it works extremely well. What this product provides is chronic comfort, okay? Rather than talking about chronic pain and things like that, you kind of put it inside out a little bit. What we're offering here is chronic comfort. By this proactive approach, people can be more comfortable and they can have more active energy in their life. Now, where this is all going to lead is these new clinical studies that we did. The data's already been analyzed. We've developed what are called internal substantiation reports. My research department does that. And then we work with outside third-party reviewers to look at new claims. And what we're very hopeful on this product is that based on this new clinical study that we have, we'll be able to expand even more on the claims that we have for BounceBack. And by no means is this the last of the clinical studies that we're doing with BounceBack. We're already planning the next phase of clinical studies because we think we've got a home run here. You know, we think I know we've got a home run with this product. Okay, it's got all the right elements of being a really successful product. And so we're going to continue building this one so it'll become a lead product for Mannatech. One great thing about this product is it's all vegetarian formula. So it doesn't have any animal ingredients in there at all. Completely vegetarian, designed for all active people. It's got excellent consumer feedback. Every test group that's used this product has raved about the product. So we're very confident that this is going to be just a really great product for the company. And these are my nippers. And this is the whole reason I developed the product. None of us is getting any younger. You know, I'm kind of a dad, an older dad amongst my peers. And so keeping up with these guys, you know, after a busy schedule and stuff is very difficult. So, you know, this product has just been a revolution to my life. You know, it allows me to start my day early, put in a full day, and then still have energy left to play with these guys when I get home. So everybody needs a personal reason to stay healthy, and these guys are my personal reason. So thank you so much for staying with me today.